Hello everybody, Pastor Mike Robertson here. I'm back with you as your host in this book that I wrote entitled Dealing with Difficult People Without Killing Them. And today we're on chapter 2, and chapter 2 is entitled You Can't Keep Running. You know, Tina Turner wrote a song decades ago entitled What's Love Got to Do with It? It's nothing but a secondhand emotion. Well, I beg to differ with Sister Turner, but everything has to do with love, and love has to do with everything. If you don't have anybody in your life that loves you, or you don't have anybody that you can love, statistics prove to us that you will live shorter on the earth because love makes you live longer. Everybody needs to be loved. If you're a lonely person, and you don't have anybody to love or be loved, go get a dog, go get a cat. That has been proven to extend a person's life simply because they had an object of their affection. They had somebody, they had something to love. Love will even fight off death. As a pastor, I've been many bedsides, people slipping off into eternity, and a lot of times the person is waiting on someone to get there before they die. Love can fight off death. Mom says, I can't go. I haven't seen Johnny. Where's Johnny? And as soon as Johnny gets there, they say their goodbyes. Mom passes into eternity because love has an incredible ingredient in it, even to the point of fighting off death. This passage that we're on today is the Book of Philemon. It is the shortest book in the Bible. In the Greek text, it's 335 words, and it's a sort of a love letter. I heard that many years ago, T.D. Jake preach a message about this book, that he called it a love letter, because basically it is a love letter. It involves three characters, Paul, a famous apostle. It includes Philemon, who the letter is written to, and Onesimus, a runaway slave. So I want you to capture this book, because the first verse, Paul, I'm a prisoner for the Lord Jesus Christ, but he wasn't just a prisoner for Christ, he was actually in prison writing this book to a fellow by the name of Philemon about a fellow he brought to the Lord by the name of Onesimus. Paul is in this dark prison cell. He's in his latter part of his life, and he's probably about 55, close to 60 years of age. He's approaching the final hour of his life. He died about 64 years of age, and he has mellowed out over the years. When Paul first started out, he was a firebrand. He didn't put up with anybody. I mean, he split up his evangelistic team 2 or 3 times. Barnabas and he split up, John Mark and he split up, and he even called old Peter out one time in the middle of a crowd. Paul was a rough fella to deal with in his early years, but we see a different guy now. He's mellowed with age, and one of the beautiful things about getting a little bit older is you mellow out and you start rehearsing the relationships that you have had over the years, and the broken relationships, the good relationships. And so let's talk about the book of Philemon, because here we have Philemon, who is an elder, the pastor, if you would, of the church in Colossae. And then you have Onesimus again as the runaway slave. And then you have Paul, who is writing this letter with his very own hand. And he's appealing to Philemon to accept Onesimus back. What happened, we don't know. But we know that at one time, Onesimus was a slave of this fellow by the name of Philemon. And he had run away. Over 1,000 miles away. He ran away, and Paul runs into him while Paul's incarcerated in Rome. And the beautiful thing about Paul's incarceration, you know, he was incarcerated physically, but he was not incarcerated spiritually. To all of my brothers and sisters listen to me in prisons, I tell them all the time, you do not have to be incarcerated spiritually, even though you're incarcerated physically. So Paul is making good use of his time in the prison. He's winning people to the Lord. He won Onesimus to the Lord. And now Onesimus is ready to go back and make restitution of a broken relationship that he's had with Philemon. And Paul is writing this letter to take him back. Once again, we don't know what Onesimus did, but he did something wrong. Did he steal Miss Philemon's wedding ring? Did he take an heirloom? What did he do? What did he violate? I think that's beside the point, because we all are running from something. We've all done something wrong. And Paul writes this really, really short letter with his own hand. And he says, I'm going to appeal to you on the basis of love that you accept Onesimus back into relationship with you and the church. No longer as a slave. I don't want you to treat him like you used to treat him. I want you to treat him as a fellow brother in Christ. Wow, that was a big order, because slaves that were runaways in those days, and if they'd taken something, they were killed pretty much instantly for their offense. And Paul is appealing on the basis of love. This fellow Onesimus is a good believer in the Lord now. And Paul makes a very interesting point, and you'll pass over it real quickly in verse number 20 if you're not careful, because he said, I do wish, my dear brother Philemon, that I could have some benefit from your relationship to the Lord. Man, what a powerful verse. Philemon, if you are who you are, if you are who you say you are in the Lord, and you're serving the Lord, there ought to be fruit in your life. And I'm appealing to you now I want to pick some of that fruit. I want to get some of benefit from your relationship with the Lord. Young people, single people, looking for someone to get married to, make sure that you marry someone that has a relationship with the Lord, because one day you will want to benefit from the fruit that their relationship with the Lord produces. So that's the appeal that Paul is making. I want to get some fruit from you, Philemon. I could appeal to you on the basis of what you owe me. You owe me your life, Philemon. I brought you to the Lord too, Paul said. You should, but I'm not doing that. I'm appealing to you because I know that you have the ability inside of you to love Onesimus and bring him back into the fold. There is nothing like being forgiven. I'm asking you to forgive him. Paul is being an arbitrator here. Paul is being an intermediator here. He's trying to get him to take him back. And I just want to say a couple of things in closing here. You may be in a position where you can be an intermediator, you can be an arbitrator for someone else's relationship to someone else. Maybe you're a little older, and maybe you should try to do what Paul did in this passage here and go and appeal that this brother be restored back to his Christian faith. I don't know where you are with that. I don't know how you even see that. But the end of the story here in Philemon is that Philemon did take Onesimus back. Onesimus did become a great believer, later became an elder in the church, and then later Onesimus, this runaway slave, actually became a bishop of a bunch of churches simply because Philemon took Paul at his word. I wonder, who are you holding captive because you have not released them? Who are you holding captive because you don't know what to say? Well, I'm here to tell you, your running days are over, and I'm praying for you that you get someone in your life to be an arbitrator that will make a better relationship for you. Let me end with this. When I was 17 years of age, I had a terrible accident in a vehicle. It was my fault. Terrible accident, and my buddy riding with me, my friend Michael, He was pinned in the car, and it was just a horrible thing. Crushed pelvic bone, and we were both 17 years of age, entering our high school year, senior year, and then I had been driving under the influence of alcohol, and as a result, this young man almost lost his life. And here's a young man who went to the hospital, and he's touch and go, you know, for the first couple of days. It's just, is he going to make it or is he not? He did make it, and he spent a lot of weeks in recovery simply for something that I had done. The court system had charged me with attempted vehicular manslaughter, and I was possibly facing some time because I was inebriated, and I just accepted the fact that I may have to do some time out of this, and it was my fault, and it's just a terrible thing. I was young, I was dumb, driving under the influence, and but what the turning point of the whole thing is when Michael's mother told the court system she would not be pressing charges. That changed the whole game. They dropped all charges against me for one reason. Ms. Cotter said it could have been my Michael that was driving instead of Thelma's Michael. So I'm going to forgive this young man. He needs a second chance. Man, she gave me a second chance that day. She was the arbitrator. She was the go-between, because it changed the rest of my life. I've literally led tens of thousands of people to the Lord as a result of getting a second chance. Do you see the power that we as individuals have, and how maybe we can arbitrate a relationship, and how we could literally change the destiny of some people that we're holding at bay? So where are you in this? As I finish this talk, where are you? Are you Onesimus? Are you running? Well, your running days are over. Are you Philemon? Do you have to dig down deep, and do you have to forgive, even though you've been violated? Maybe you've been violated, and you've got it in you because God put this down deep in your soul. You got the fruit to be able to forgive. Are you a Philemon? Or are you a Paul, able to arbitrate? Another question I have for you: Are you bearing fruit that other people are benefiting from? You should be. And if you're looking to make friends with other people, make friends with people that are bearing fruit. And we'll get into that more during this study, but fruit is a whole lot different than gifts. And you make sure that you find you somebody with some fruit. The last thing that Paul says in his letters, he signs off with his own hand to Philemon. He said, make a room for me, because I'm going to come visit you. And I want to push that text a little bit and ask you the question: have you made room? Have you made room for God in a place of your heart where you can allow God to help you with difficult people when you don't have the ability to forgive, you don't have the ability to release, you don't have the ability to go back and face the music? Open your heart. Make some room for God. Paul said, prepare room for me. And God is saying to all of us in this text, make some time for me this week. Make some room for me, and I'll jump inside of you and give you the ability to navigate any difficult relationship that you see yourself going through. Hey, this is Pastor Mike. Thank you for joining us today. Hope you're reading the chapter. Enjoy chapter 2. Your running days are over.